Perhaps we should discuss this in a warmer place? This room is fine. Kohler seemed oblivious to the cold. We'll talk here. Langdon frowned. The Illuminati history was by no means a simple one. I'll freeze to death trying to explain it. He gazed again at the brand, feeling a renewed sense of awe. Although accounts of the Illuminati emblem were legendary in modern symbology, no academic had ever actually seen it. Ancient documents describe the symbol as an ambigram ambi, meaning both, signifying it was legible both ways. And although ambigrams were common in symbology, swastikas, yin-yang, Jewish stars, simple crosses, the idea that a word could be crafted into an ambigram seemed utterly impossible. Modern symbologists had tried for years to forge the word Illuminati into a perfectly symmetrical style, but they had failed miserably. Most academics had now decided the symbol's existence was a myth. So who are the Illuminati? Kohler demanded. Yes, Langdon thought, who indeed? He began his tale. Since the beginning of history, Langdon explained, a deep rift has existed between science and religion. Outspoken scientists like Copernicus were murdered, Kohler interjected. Murdered by the Church for revealing scientific truths. Religion has always persecuted science. Yes. But in the 1500s, a group of men in Rome fought back against the Church. Some of Italy's most enlightened men, physicists, mathematicians, astronomers, began meeting secretly to share their concerns about the Church's inaccurate teachings. They feared that the Church's monopoly on truth threatened academic enlightenment around the world. They founded the world's first scientific think tank, calling themselves the Enlightened Ones. The Illuminati. Yes, Langdon said. Europe's most learned minds. Dedicated to the quest for scientific truth. Kohler fell silent. Of course, the Illuminati were hunted ruthlessly by the Catholic Church. Only through rites of extreme secrecy did the scientists remain safe. Word spread through the academic underground, and the Illuminati Brotherhood grew to include academics from all over Europe. The scientists met regularly in Rome at an ultra-secret lair they called the Church of Illumination. Kohler coughed and shifted in his chair. Many of the Illuminati, Langdon continued, wanted to combat the church's tyranny with acts of violence, but their most revered member persuaded them against it. He was a pacifist, as well as one of history's most famous scientists. Langdon was certain Kohler would recognize the name. Even non-scientists were familiar with the ill-fated astronomer who had been arrested and almost executed by the Church for proclaiming that the Sun, and not the Earth, was the center of the solar system. Although his data were incontrovertible, the astronomer was severely punished for implying that God had placed mankind somewhere other than at the center of his universe. His name was Galileo Galilei, Langdon said. Kohler looked up. Galileo? Yes. Galileo was an Illuminatus. And he was also a devout Catholic. He tried to soften the Church's position on science by proclaiming that science did not undermine the existence of God, but rather reinforced it. He wrote once that when he looked through his telescope at the spinning planets, he could hear God's voice in the music of the spheres. He held that science and religion were not enemies, but rather allies, two different languages telling the same story, a story of symmetry and balance. Heaven and hell, night and day, hot and cold, God and Satan. Both science and religion rejoiced in God's symmetry. The endless contest of light and dark. Langdon paused, stamping his feet to stay warm. Kohler simply sat in his wheelchair and stared. Unfortunately, Langdon added, the unification of science and religion was not what the Church wanted. Of course not, Kohler interrupted. The union would have nullified the Church's claim as the sole vessel through which man could understand God. So the Church tried Galileo as a heretic, found him guilty, and put him under permanent house arrest. I am quite aware of scientific history, Mr. Langdon. But this was all centuries ago. What does it have to do with Leonardo Vetra? The million-dollar question. Langdon cut to the chase. Galileo's arrest threw the Illuminati into upheaval.